Minecraft 1.21 broke creeper farms, but here's a great one that fixes all of those problems, and you get a ton of resources. Here's what you need, pause to view. To make a 2-layer one, you need this many solid blocks, and this many other resources, but you can build more layers as needed. And you don't have to, but for the best rates, I build the base of this 128 blocks in the air, and I make a 5x5 solid platform to start, with 4 hoppers leading into a chest on one corner, with rails and hopper minecarts on top of that, and then put 4 solid blocks on top of those. And on the outsides of those, place 4 pistons on the same block on each of those 4 sides so that it looks like this, and then have observers going from the short sides of each piston into the long sides of the others, so it all connects into a ring that looks like this, and throw a trident in the middle, attach a lever to a piston, and flick it to create a trident and a lever. Now from that, make a tube going up 21 more blocks along the border of the observers and pistons that you just placed so it looks like this, and then place coral fans in the middle of the tube like this, with signs on top so that the coral fans are protected. And from each side of the tube, go out an additional 7 blocks. So make something going out 7 from every side of the tube, and then connect each of those in the corners like this, so you end up with a giant square centered around your hole, and then fill in the square with solid blocks that is 18 by 18. And then diagonal from those edges, make a border going up 1 from the square all around it to look like this, and then from that on each of the 4 sides, go out an additional 7 blocks, and just like the previous step, create a giant square from the sides coming together in the corners and fill in the square. Then on the very edges of those, create a 1 high border of blocks, and in each of those 4 corners, place 5 blocks up top like this, and then 3 blocks down here like this. So do this in all of them, and then place water in the little pocket up here, and then starting at the second block in for each of those sides, place water all along the sides like this, and remember, do not place water in the inner corners, and when you are done, everything should flow right to the middle hole, and this will spawn some drowned, and if you're okay with that, fine, but in order to make sure that doesn't happen, place soul sand lanterns here in each of the corners, and then place water on the inside edges of those blocks down here, and do not place water in the corners or the blocks next to those, but once you've done that, you can place soul sand lanterns, and drowns will not spawn. Then you can line the walls with leaves, but we'll spawn proof it later. Anyway, 3 blocks up, we are going to make a giant grid pattern of solid blocks. What I do is make a bunch of rows of blocks spaced 1 apart from each other, and then fill in every other block inside of the gaps. You should be left with something that looks like this, and in each of those holes, place either coral fans, so you get optimal rates, or trapdoors that are all facing the same direction for a cheaper farm. And then at every single intersection of blocks, you will place down a trapdoor, so basically if the blocks form a cross, place a trapdoor in the middle of that cross. And then make as many of those layers as you want spaced 2 apart vertically from each other. I just did 2 of them because I got tired of filming, and then you're gonna make a solid roof 2 above everything. Now on each layer, above every block that does not have a trapdoor or a coral fan for a floor, basically anywhere that a creeper can spawn, place a trapdoor on the ceiling. It should basically be every other block per row like I'm doing here, and do that for every layer, including the ceiling layer. This ensures that the ceilings are short enough that only creepers spawn, and spiders are kept from spawning from the floor trapdoors. Anyway, once you've done that, you are basically done. And the farm will work at nighttime, but to have it working all the time, take some blocks and along where you placed leaves at the edges here, instead of leaves, build up each of the side walls until you reach the ceiling, so you enclose everything in darkness. And then I like to spawn proof the top of the farm so that mobs don't spawn up there during the nighttime. I just lay down lanterns randomly so it's all lit up like this, and then you stand here by the chest, wait for creepers to spawn. They'll stumble their way down the holes, fall into the unaliving chamber, and you can hold a looting sword for increased loot. They'll drop their gunpowder, and you can like and follow for more builds.